Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. I hope you're all having a fantastic morning. I hope to goodness gracious that you do not have to go through an airport and face TSA agents. My goodness, they're out of I don't know who's more out of control, the Secret Service or the TSA. And you have Olympia Snow saying, if you haven't heard this, she's saying, we need more women in the Secret Service. Well, you got 60% of women are in college. Women are doing better than men these days. I say it's time. We have enough equality. Just let the men go. Just don't give them any prostitution money.
There you go.
Just don't give them any of that extra change. Did you hear about this from the TSA? Dinah Frank, 7, has cerebral palsy. She walks with the aid of leg braces and crutches. So she cannot pass through, airport metal detectors, and must instead submit to a pat-down by TSA agents. Dinah, who is also reportedly developmentally disabled, is usually frightened by the procedure, and her family reportedly requests that agents on hand take the time to introduce themselves to her. Well, these guys, they aggressively inspected her, scared the heck out of her. The family missed their flight. You know, ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, I might have been the only, person in America that when they created Homeland Security, a name which is terrible, when they created Homeland Security to question the need for it, here we go, the creation of more bureaucracy. We have the FBI, we have the CIA. You know, are you kidding me? We have to create more and more and more and more and more. And they say, well, they're keeping America safe. All baloney. All baloney. Do you think Dinah Frank was a terrorist? Now get this. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, 2 current and 2 former TSA employees have been arrested in an alleged drug and bribery scheme at the LA International Airport. According to a 22-count grand jury indictment unsealed Wednesday, the Transportation Secretary Administration, TSA, employees took payments of as much as $2,400 to allow suitcases filled with cocaine and marijuana and drugs to pass through X-ray machines at LAX, while TSA screeners looked the other way. I mean, to protect and serve.
2 steps forward.
We are
2
TSA.
steps back. You know something, though? Here's the problem, okay? It is a shame that that family had to go through what they had to go through. But think about back in World War II. What do Americans do? We recover our dead, right?
Yes.
And what did they do? They wired the bodies, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, you gotta think about that kind of stuff, because who knows? That might, I hate to use this phrase, but that could have been a Trojan horse. You never know.
In other words, somebody was using a disabled person as a bomb.
They possibly could
carrier.
do that. Think of the places that people will conceal cocaine to smuggle it in. You know what I mean? Really. It's a shame that this happened to this woman, but on the other hand, I think the situation, it's not that Homeland Security itself is a problem. We just have the wrong people working there.
Well, that's the truth. I just don't get it. I just don't get it all. Hey, guess who endorsed? Romney got another endorsement.
Oh, yeah?
Rick Perry. Let me see.
Really?
I'm calling this press conference today to endorse. Let me see. I'm here to endorse. Who's running for president? Let me see. There's Newt. I've already endorsed him once.
Oops.
Ron Paul. I'm not in the race anymore. No, I'm not running. Who's that other guy? Romney. Yeah, I'm here to endorse Mitt Romney.
Now, what does he want? A little late, but
I'll tell you what Rick Perry wants. He wants Romney's help to get reelected in Texas, because ever since he ran for president, Perry has been revealed as a town clown. He needs some help down there in old Texas.
he should have endorsed him right as soon as he dropped out. He said, you know what? I've given this some thought, and he should have done it right as soon as months ago, but he should have done it right as he decided to drop out.
And how about Newt Gingrich? Newt Gingrich comes out and he says, well, I still think I'd be the better candidate, but obviously the voters don't think so. and he's apparently wants to endorse He doesn't want to drop out yet because he's got like some racing event, like with the Penske brothers. I heard it on the Washington news on the way. I'm like, oh my God, Newt.
What are you gonna put
He's
Newt on the side of the-
he's planning on leaving the race next Tuesday. It's like he's got a few things left he wants to get wrapped up.
What? Newt, what could you possibly have left to do?
Newt,
The show is over. Go home.
And get this, in an official complaint filed with the Government Accountability. That sounds serious, don't it? You don't want ever a complaint, TC, to be filed with the Government Accountability Office.
No.
Hi, I'm with the Government Accountability Office. A watchdog agency, RNC Chairman Priebus accused Obama of passing off campaign travel as official events using taxpayer money to fund his re-election efforts. You know what's so terrible about these filings?
What's that?
They never go anywhere, and no president's ever lost his job over one. I mean, it's like when you're elected president, you're allowed to do anything you want illegal. The president cannot make those appointments because Congress was still in session officially. He does it anyway.
Yeah.
The president can't do that. He's trying to do it and run around Congress. Oh, yeah. I mean, being president is like being dictator these days.
So those guys get the whatever response.
They never get impeached. They never get called in on the carpet.
Well, you think about it. There was a story in the Inquirer today. The president's coming back to Ohio, I think, kicking off his campaign here. He was at Cleveland a few weeks ago, Ohio State. I mean, he's making a lot of trips, and I mean, come on now. But for different reasons. He's speaking at Ohio State University, But
how hard is it for a president to come up with a non-campaign reason to come speak?
Yeah, I need to go survey that bridge again. By the way, if I'm reelected, I'll get you a new bridge.
This is Obama on Romney and the GOP. You have a Republican Party and a presumptive Republican nominee that believes in drastically rolling back environmental regulations. Can I get an amen? Oh, no, he didn't use that then. That believes in drastically rolling back collective bargaining rights. That believes in an approach to deficit reduction in which taxes are cut further for the wealthiest Americans, and spending cuts are entirely borne by things like education or basic research or care for the vulnerable. The vulnerable. Gosh dang, man. He plays every card right there.
So who does leave out?
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Michelle Obama, 2 years ago we made history together by finally passing health reform, said Michelle Obama. And because we passed this law, insurance companies will now have to cover basic preventive care things like prenatal care, mammograms, contraception, at no extra cost. Free condoms for everybody!
You know something? We know
Our country's going to hell in a handbasket.
hell in a handbasket.
We need Coriolanus. You say, what about your anus? Coriolanus.
Oh. Yesterday, when you were going on about the president's or the presidential preach, whatever, when he was preaching yesterday.
Yeah, he was saying amen after everything. Speaking of those North Carolina students, could I get an amen? And they gave him one.
Right at 9:06, coming out of the news yesterday. Laura Ingraham, she's playing the speech, and she's got this gospel choir underneath with the organ music.
I heard that.
She must have been listening to us.
I think she does. I think she does. Is she smart? She would.
9 to noon today.
Romney says he'll be looking for somebody new to run the reserve, and Bernanke has printed too much money. He wants a non-money printer. You know what? When they fire Bernanke and they need that money machine, maybe we ought to buy it. You know, the machine that they make to print the money at the Fed?
Yeah, I like that.
We ought to buy that.
That'd be great. We make our own money.
We'll make our own money. And you know what? It's not counterfeit money because it's printed on Federal Reserve machines.
Exactly. Well, if they've got extra money, we'll just take the extra money that they've got.
James Carville's mad. He's mad about Mitt Romney using that economy line. Yeah, it's still about the economy, stupid. It's about how hucksters like Mitt crashed it. Middle class paid the price. Top 1% got more cuts. Let's call out these Republicans. Carville. He's a crazy Cajun.
I would love for him to run for president.
It'll never happen. It'll never happen. The Senate yesterday voted 62 to 37 and to avert closings of post office and distribution centers for 2 years and continue Saturday mail delivery. It would have triggered early retirement for as many as 100,000 postal workers. And of course, although we support cuts to save America, We have our post office employee Dalton Avenue friends exception.
Exactly. Because
we're loyal too, man. We can be bought with friendship too.
Because sometimes the check doesn't come till Saturday.
Do you work for a federal bureaucracy that's overbloated? If you be our friends, we won't bash you on the radio.
Exactly. Bring us some donuts, some snappy tomato, we're good.
Yes.
Now, that's
Ribs. We come back. I think I've already covered all the news. Real Talk 1160.
Let us play around for the next couple hours. How's that? We're just about 10 minutes away from Bill O'Reilly's Talking Points coming up at 7:28 this morning here on Real Talk 1160. And now, back to the Bulldog.
This is Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. You know, we haven't announced the weather lately, so let's go ahead and do that. Today, AM clouds, PM sun, 20% of rain.
AM clouds,
AM
PM
clouds.
sun.
Friday, partly cloudy, 10% of rain. Saturday, thunder showers. I forgot to mention yesterday, and I got to mention it today. Tomorrow night at 5:30, I will be at the Friends of the NRA in Butler County for their annual NRA event. It's a silent auction, loud auction, lots of fun. If you live near or about Butler County, want to have some fun Friday night and meet yours truly and hang out with me and have some fun with Sean Maloney and all those gun toters in Butler County, Friday night at Butler County NRA dinner at 5:30. That's what we've got going on. And pop culture. Lindsay told us all. Lindsay. She told us all that she was going to walk the straight and narrow. She was out at a party Tuesday night, so what happens Wednesday? She shows up late for her Fox hit Glee appearance.
Oh, you're kidding me. Well, was she sober?
I hoped Lindsay had turned over a new leaf, but apparently she's still sitting on the same leaf.
Well, she was running a little bit late. She wasn't drunk, was she?
I have no idea. I hope not.
I have one thing to say about her. Have you seen her lately? I mean, obviously see her all the time.
Yeah.
She turned out to be pretty nice looking, didn't she?
She's looking better.
There's one girl I'm glad turned 18.
Britney Spears, her fiance Jason Trawick, has been granted co-conservatorship with her father to control her assets. You know, since her meltdown in 2008. Oprah fed a hungry man, a homeless man, outside a posh Beverly Hills restaurant. Instead of just giving him a bowl of soup, she gave him a whole meal. I'd say this, Oprah, why didn't you give him a job or something?
Exactly. Give a man a meal, he'll eat for 10 minutes.
I mean, geez, Pete.
Give him a job on your network, and he'll be unemployed in a couple months.
Let me see. Arkansas Senator Mark Pryor said he asked the FBI to investigate who set up an online auction for a Washington internship in his office. That, what is this? What's this group? Oh, Girls Gone Wild founder Joe Francis said he bought for the winner of the Hottest Girl in America contest. Oh, my God. There's no better way to empower women than an award and internship. Some people don't have a sense of humor.
For some reason, everybody thinks that now, all of a sudden, we have to start catering to women. Every story we've had for the past 2 weeks has been about women, housewives, stay-at-home moms.
I don't know. You know what? We at Bulldog Nation, we treat men and women equally.
Yeah.
You don't get any special treatment here. If you're listening and you're a man or you're a woman, you know that we equally love and hate you all at the same time.
Right. A woman can go to the refrigerator and get me a beer and open it just as well as a man can.
Darn right. That was TC's. That's why he's on thin ice, ladies. You would never hear me say something like that. Jeez, old Pete. I heard something today on the way in here that the women are the ones getting the education. They're gonna be able to lock us up before long. And what is being called the richest deal ever in reality TV, the Kardashians just signed a new contract with E! 3-year, $40 million deal.
Really?
I say why. I don't get it, man.
That's more than half the Reds are making.
I'm about 10 times more entertained than they are. Which, by the way, how much time we got till the break?
I'll take as much time as you want. Just 5 minutes.
I got a story that I got permission for my client to say on the radio. This is an incredible story. Last night I received a text message from my cousin Josh, who said that some guy that he worked with, father, was in a terrible accident and lost a leg. And he sent me the guy's phone number. and I called him immediately. And he was at University Hospital with his dad, who had lost his leg. And I said, well, I'll come over there. So at 6:30, 6:40, 6:45 last night, I get in my truck and I drive over to And my daughter Erica was with me because she was out at the house visiting, so she rode with me, my law school student. So I went over to University Hospital, and I met with my now client, Dennis Carter. And this is an incredible story. Dennis Carter is a truck driver, and he was switching trailers with his rig up at Hamilton, and he couldn't get the back end of the door of the trailer closed, and he was between the dock and the trailer, and he got stuck. And his leg was stuck. He couldn't get his leg unstuck. Now, this guy's over 60 years old, in very good shape. A truck driver for 35 years, and he had never, ever had a ticket or an accident. So he calls for some help, and a guy comes along to help. Now, I want to paint this picture. This guy's leg is stuck between the dock and the trailer. But he's okay. He's not like an imminent death or anything like that. This helper, it wasn't very much of a helper, gets into a truck. And the first thing he does, he revs the engine and releases the air brake. Trailer comes back on Dennis Carter and just smashes his leg. The guy gets out of the truck, runs by, and Dennis doesn't lose consciousness, tells him to call 911. So he calls 911, so Dennis is there, smashed to smithereens, waiting for somebody to come get him out. Well, the EMTs and the fire trucks come. They get in the truck and pull it up. His leg's gone. He doesn't lose consciousness, folks. He's sitting there looking at his leg down there. And bleeding everywhere. They air carry him to University Hospital. He almost dies twice at University Hospital. Or actually, he does die twice. His heart. Because he's bleeding so bad. Lost 50% of all his blood. So I'm sitting, he's telling me this story in his hospital bed, in good spirits. And he starts talking about how, I said, well, they have, I guess you're not going to be a truck driver, but you can be a dispatcher. He goes, no, I'm going to be fine. And he sits there and talks about how he's going to still drive a truck maybe, and he's got these plans, and he talks about how his son can fix anything, heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electricity, whatever, and he knows how to do it, and it's about working hard, and just incredible. Well, then I find out that guy served in Vietnam. And then when he came back, he got spit on, all that stuff. This guy drove tanks in Vietnam, and he was in Cambodia, just like where Mike Zimmerman was flying those missions that Nixon didn't tell anybody about. Well, this guy was in a tank in Cambodia that they weren't, quote unquote, supposed to be there. His tank gets hit and blows up. He loses half his butt. And he helps all the other men in his tank out of the tank and saves their lives. Gets the Purple Heart, Silver Cross. And he told the doctor, he goes, I left half my ass in Vietnam and I'll leave half my leg at the dock. But I'll be okay. You believe it? And I'm sitting here, I couldn't be, I was almost overcome with emotion.
That's a great spirit.
This guy makes me feel hopeful for America. Yeah. Oh, and he's talking about people that don't work and get entitlements and don't work for anything, and he's sitting there without a leg.
This song is for that guy.
Dedicated to Dennis Carter, Oracle, on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160, asking for some green water. Thank you. Excuse me, I get some green water. Hold on.
We're going to pull up some. Look at that.
God, that green water was good.
Testimonial.
In 1986, today in history, I will marry Maria. He said, I do take you to love and honor, except I want a housekeeper exception.
And she had no idea what he was talking about.
I take you to love and to hold and to honor, but I need a housekeeper exception. Famous birthdays. Jet Li. Whoa! Who I once defeated in a full MMA cage fight once. It was my first one back when I was in my 20s.
I remember that.
Jet Li is 49. If you go up to Jet Li and just say, Bulldog, Bulldog, he will hit you.
Then he'll call and want to sue. That's harassment. Can I sue?
Donald Trump. You do a good schloy. Donald Trump. His wife is 42.
And she loves his, no, he loves his hair.
Younger woman.
Mm-hmm.
Channing Tatum is 32.
Who's that?
How do you like that? That actor. He's an actor. He's a male actor. Much more hunky-looking dude.
Oh, that's why I don't know.
I'll fight him next. Military deaths, none to report. We are proud of that.
That's a good thing.
Let me see. Now, TC's been giving me a little grief.
Yeah.
You know, yesterday we rocked it, didn't we, with Joan Jett? And I thought to myself, Joan Jett has more than one hit. And you know what? We ought to just honor Joan Jett again.
So every day I get a text. How about this song for a feel-good song? Or I'll send you a text. Now, yesterday, I'm having lunch with a beautiful lady. And I'm telling her about the feel-good song, and she says, you guys ought to play Blondie one way or another. So I sent you a text right there about, 11:30, 12 o'clock. I sent you a text.
Yes, I did.
I said, we ought to play Blondie tomorrow. One of your clients suggested it. Remember that? A
Yeah.
beautiful client at that.
You know what, TC? I was thinking about this. You know, Pat Benatar, not Joan Jett. Deborah Harry, Blondie, not Joan Jett.
Well, I like Joan Jett, but
I want to tell you something. I promise you, the next segment, you get Blondie ready, and we never do this. We will do a dedication next segment. Promise.
All right.
To help you out. But until then,
it would do me a world of good if we played Blondie today. Just say that.
Listen to this, folks. Joan Jett's back again. I think I could love her. Oh, I love this song.
You gotta love the man who invented spandex.
Uh-huh! You know, in the movie Runaways, her and Cherry Bomb got it on.
You remember that movie she did with Michael J. Fox, Light of Day?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Then Clover. Your feel-good song of the day. Joan Jett. You're feeling good, aren't you?
I'm feeling it.
Here we go. Of course, this was made great by Tommy James and the Shondells. Pat Benatar, can't touch her, man. And I like Pat Benatar.
Yeah, I love Pat.
Here we go. I love this. Yeah! Of course, she does it a little better than me.
I would love to be the drummer in that band. Look at the view he's
got. I know.
Got.
Not only the view, but how about the drumming? He gets to pound those drums.
That guy's awesome.
We might have a trifecta tomorrow because there's another big Joan Jett hit.
You know, Pat Benatar's drummer's pretty awesome.
Male or female?
Male. But
Male?
This guy's insane on the drums.
Let's do some jack wagons.
All right.
Octomom is in financial ruin and still pays $520 for a hair care. How does that work?
What?
Now get this. The Archdiocese of Philadelphia. You think they got enough problems, right, TC?
Yeah, oh yeah.
They ruled students can't go to the prom solo.
What?
You know what? My guess is if you're a man or you're a boy or a girl that is going to go to the prom solo, you're probably sensitive enough to it. So what do? You ban it. I mean, you're already self-conscious, about it, and then they're going to say, if you are not hot enough to get a date, you're not going to get to go to the prom. That's what they're really saying. You can't go to the prom solo, TC.
It reminded me of a song.
This is America.
It reminded me. Now, I know you're not a Hall & Oates fan.
This is America. You can go to the prom alone if you want.
I don't know why I just had to pull this one up for you, okay? You'll like this one here. We'll do this for... Go ahead and finish your rant on that, okay?
Archdiocese of Philadelphia. What's this song go solo?
Yeah.
Hall & Oates stinks, TC.
Oh, dude.
They didn't even... I didn't like their look. I didn't like their music. But they're your number one song, aren't they?
Oh, they are. They're up there. Here you go. Listen. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes.
Bulldog Nation, I apologize. Bulldog Nation, I apologize. I apologize. I have no control over this. Hall & Oates. That's as bad as playing Air Supply.
Oh, that's. Ooh.
We're manly men, TC. Remember that. We are manly men. Archdiocese of Philadelphia. Student, you think they got enough problems with priests,
Right.
to make an issue about the "you shall not go solo." You know what? Just go with somebody else that's solo.
Can you go with a priest?
Yeah, only if you're under 12. Bing!
Good night, folks.
Two
shows on Thursday.
Listen to this from Jack Wagon. Tennessee Representative Jeremy Fison. Now, I knew this would have to be a Republican because I just knew it had to be a Republican would say something like this. Teen suicide is caused by bad parenting, not bullying.
Well.
Now, man, oh man, oh man.
I don't know about that one.
I don't know about that one either.
How does he back that one up?
I don't know how. He doesn't back it up. The bottom line is,
Let's call this guy.
we're going to call him up and tell him off, man. We're
Now-
going to tell him off, man.
Parenting is a very important issue with child rearing, of course.
Of course it is.
However, come on, really?
I happen to be the best father in America. And my kids still didn't do everything I wanted them to do. That sounded good.
They're still
I
child.
happen. That's not like a name of a movie or a television series.
Quote.
The best father in America. It sounds like Ron Burgundy. Hi, San Diego. My name is Ron Burgundy, the best father in America.
Now, see, what he's going to have to do, put that line in a movie, and then in 20, 30 years from now, some guys will be doing a morning show. Hey, play that clip from Bulldog's movie.
You're right. You know, I've been known to coin a phrase. I came up with one the other day. Chuck goes, "That's good." I said, "Some days are plowing and some days are sailing." Plowing,
Sailing.
ladies and gentlemen, plowing is more difficult than sailing.
Yeah,
It's a term that's,
we like sailing.
Scott Rowland. Let's do some sports, shall we, TC?
All right, sports time.
Sports. Scott Rowland hit a home run last night. Finally. He's only batting 175, but thank you for the home run, Scott. And the Giants won. They play today at 12:35. You know what? I think I might go. I shouldn't have said that. All my clients will be mad at me. I'm just kidding, folks. I'm not really going to go to the game. The Giants go down to the Reds 4-2. This is also big news. The Washington Capitals, and my stepson Cameron, who's a big Capitals fan, how do you pronounce that? Ovechek, blah, blah, whatever his name is. He's a big fan of his. Joel Ward, who, by the way, is an African-American, punched in a rebound at 2.57 in overtime, and the Bruins go down to the Capitals 2-1 in Game 7. And Cameron was happy. Then my wife was happy that Cameron was happy.
They've got you hooked on hockey, don't they?
Oh, I love playoff hockey.
Oh, you do?
I've always liked. And you know what? It reminds me of what America needs.
What's that?
Old time hockey.
By the way,
The Caps played old time hockey. Played old time hockey last night. Old time hockey.
old-time hockey.
Old time hockey. What do you got there, TC?
Bearcats went down in 10 innings. Xavier beat them 7-4 yesterday.
They should play old time hockey.
And have a better chance.
I guess old time hockey and baseball would be stealing bases, running hard, throwing hard,
Yeah.
breaking up double plays,
Pete Rose.
That's right.
charging the pitcher's mouth,
And playing on natural grass
and playing on natural grass.
with a dead ball.
Hey, last night they played on natural ice.
Not that green ice.
There was no green ice, it was natural ice. Old time hockey. NFL draft begins tonight. Bengals draft in the first round, number 17 and 21. Let's hope they get some old time hockey players. NBA Players Union Director Billy Hunter apparently is messing around with some of their money in his son's bank. Could be an issue. Nuggets player Kevin Durant scored 32 points last night. Kobe needs 38 to win the title. You know he's going to do about 55 tonight.
Right. From the locker room, probably.
When we come back, we got a special song for Nate Webster. Actually, we came up with two, didn't we? This is the Bulldog. Nate. Should take four. On Real Talk 1160.
Bulldog did. Hey, if you're heading into work and you can't listen to the radio, you can always use the Radio Loyalty app, free on your iPhone, BlackBerry, or Android. That's Radio Loyalty, all one word. It's the official app of Bulldog, Laura Ingram, Dennis Miller, and, of course, everybody else here on Real Talk 1160. And now, back to the Bulldog.
This is Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. Yesterday, Hamilton County jury found the former Bengal, Nate Webster. Should have called the dog, Nate. Should have called the dog. What do I tell you? If you don't hire the Bulldog, you're stupid. All right, guilty of 4 counts of unlawful sexual conduct with a minor, not guilty of gross sexual imposition. Sexual battery and a 5th count of unlawful sexual conduct with a minor. Obviously, the jury said they didn't prove that the girl was 15 or that he threatened her with a gun. They deliberated about 6 hours. He's facing a lot of time, about 20 years. And Judge Winkler revoked his bond. Winkler's going to send him away. Winkler is a tough judge. See you, Nate. Nate should have taken the 4 years. And also, I got a question. Bringing in a lawyer from Chicago. Hello. You ought to use one of the finest criminal defense attorneys. Okay, let me see. The guy from Chicago versus somebody local like Mike Allen, yours truly. Are you kidding me? There's lots of other, God, who's the big tall guy? Oh, I love this guy. Great criminal defense attorney. I can't believe I can't think of him.
You got me.
He got suspended for a little bit, but he's recently come back.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, I can't believe I can't think of him. Well, I want to think of him. But anyway, why not use a good local Hamilton County attorney?
Right.
You bring in a guy from Chicago, and he bashes Joe Deters to the jury. That's not good. That's not good.
You ain't from around here, is you?
But, Nate, we thought about Cherry Bomb by Joan Jett, because I'm kind of on a Joan Jett kick. But then I thought of that great song by ABBA. And it's one of those things that you should always ask, does your mother know? Does your mother know you're here? And, of course, we found out that the mom didn't know.
Apparently not.
Listen to these words, folks. This sums it all up.
Ooh, leisure suits.
Good advice, Nate. Good advice. I gotta tell a personal story about this. People are going, what? What, dog? It's called Teenage Crushes. You can dance with them, Nate, if you think it's funny. You can talk to her, Nate.
Those girls were cute.
I love ABBA. It's better than Hall & Oates. I don't lose my man's card. I don't lose my man's card for playing this, TC.
Oh, you hurt me. You cut me deep.
Brandy, if you're listening, next segment's going to be your song.
You cut me real deep,
Anyway,
Shrek.
I got to just say this about this Nate Webster thing. I want to tell you, he should have taken a deal of 4. In fact, I even heard a rumor that it could have been 3. He could have gotten out maybe in a year or so with probation. I'm telling you, folks, he made and you know what? I don't know how aggressive the lawyer. Sometimes you got to hit your client upside the head.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, got to hit your client upside the head sometimes. I recently went through this where a client wouldn't listen to me about taking a deal, and then he threatened to kill me. And
I wouldn't.
and then I said, okay, find a different lawyer. You should take this deal. I'm going to kill you. Okay. I quit.
Game over.
But anyway, and let's face it, this is different. The age discrepancy of a Bengals player, 30-some-odd years, and male, versus a 15-year-old. Of course, she was not a little angel.
Right. But he's somewhat of a celebrity, too.
But just silly, and I don't care what they say. And let me tell you something different about it. This is like a new thing. Older women, younger men. And you know the difference is, if it was you and me, TC, and a young girl, guess what? They're thinking sex, 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 sex.
Right.
Let's face it, folks. Women think differently. It's not always about sex.
That's true.
It can be about love and feelings and a lot more. But guys, sex, 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 sex.
That's it. You're right. That's the way it is. Of course, if it's the other way around, where you've got a younger guy and an older woman.
Now, this is a topic. This is a topic worth throwing the phone number out. 513-579-1160. 513-579-1160. What do you think about the Nate Webster verdict? And what do you think about all these issues? Everybody knows that I'm representing Sarah Jones when I get out of my Kentucky suspension, which we're waiting day by day, day by day. I'm waiting for a Supreme Court order, folks, is what I'm waiting for. So it's day by day. But anyway, everybody knows I'll be representing Sarah Jones, and I can't wait to get off the leash and be able to talk about it. But what do you think about this whole Nate Webster verdict, her conduct, male, female, older, younger, 513-579-1160? What do you got there, TC?
I want to ask you something using your legal expertise. Okay?
I'm a legal expert.
First of all, okay.
513.
There's no doubt that this guy made the wrong decision, okay? Bad move, end of story. No get-out-of-jail-free card. But let me ask you this. You're an attorney. Don't you have to prove damage? Okay, she's no saint. She's not an angel, right? What was her damage?
No, you have to in a civil case, not in a criminal case.
Ah, okay.
You can't have what's called jury nullification. Jury nullification is regardless of what the law, the jury listens to it all and says, we ain't going to find you guilty for that.
Okay.
You know?
Maybe he was shooting for that.
A great example is there was a pedophile over in northern Kentucky many years ago, over a decade ago. A mom met the guy in a van, met him, didn't tell him why she was meeting him, took a gun and blew off one of his testicles. The grand jury didn't indict her. Did she commit a crime? Heck yeah. Grand jury gonna indict her? Hell no.
Right. All right.
She came I represented her. It was great.
Really?
I mean, the grand jury said, we're not going to, heck yeah, she pulled a gun out and shot one of his, what's off.
Yeah, well, more power to her.
And by the way, here's something that just happened this week. I'll share this with you. A young fan told her mom that I recently met. They came to the office to actually meet me and told her mom that she thought, now this is an underage girl, under 18 years old, told her mom, and she's cute, told her mom that I'm hot.
Ooh, told her mom that?
Yeah, says he's hot. Now, TC, hello. I mean, okay.
Not gonna touch
I think that's sweet. I think that's great. I think that's wonderful. Right. But come on, now, some people are wired. Yeah. Oh my God, she did. Come on, folks.
No.
I once had a very cute middle school girl friend of one of my daughters had a crush on me. Yeah. It was pretty obvious. And man, I was very careful.
When I was a senior...
you don't even want to be in the same room alone.
All right. My sister had
a friend. That's how you handle those things.
When I was, I guess I was a senior in high school, and she was 4 years younger than me. A friend of my sister's had a crush on me. She was cute, but I don't know, just couldn't do it. 4 years. It seemed like 8th grade, high school. You know what I mean? So I know that changes as you get older and that, but my gosh.
I would feel like I was with my daughter's friends, and that's weird.
Right. Yeah.
I have never had any feelings for my daughter's friends. That's too weird.
No, let's keep it that way. They're like extended daughters.
I also have a special announcement to make, and I know Brad Amster and Chuck Holbrook's going to get mad at me for announcing it, but on all of my accounts, on my Facebook, my Twitter, my computer's accounts at work, everybody, I've changed my password. And,
Don't say it.
And you know what my password is, TC, for all my new accounts?
Are we going to have to bleep this out now?
No, I want everybody here because I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide.
There's a
what are you doing?
I just want everybody to know what my new password is on all my accounts, Brad.
Why?
I just think it's funny.
You know how many places we have to change that? And it's not funny.
Old-time hockey!
No!
Old-time hockey! Brad, you better hurry up and start changing it now because I just told America all Bulldogs passwords are old-time hockey.
Great.
Nope, you know what? That's not going to last.
Isn't that great?
That's great.
Isn't that a great password?
It is,
Great.
but it's not going to last. That's too long. You're going to get you're an
Old-time
impatient person.
hockey.
You're going to get so tired of having to type that in every single time. You're going to come up with something shorter.
Yeah, but it's easy to remember.
Yeah, now I have to spend all day
For
fixing
everyone to remember.
Brad, sorry.
Great.
Sorry.
Thanks.
When we come back, more Radio Superbity, and we got to take care of TC, who has a female. Is she over 18?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
All right. On Real Talk 1160.
That's what you told me, Your Honor.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. I'm proud to be on Real Talk 1160, where we talk real. Real talk.
That's right.
We got real sports.
Yeah.
We got radio addiction, radio superbity. The lawyer I was thinking of, I got to give it up to Rick Scott, who's also a fine lawyer who focuses on domestic relations. Rick Scott sent me a text. He's a Bulldog Nation member. Clyde Bennett was the name of the lawyer I was trying to think of. He's like 6'5". He's a black attorney here in the tri-state. If I was in trouble in Hamilton County and you couldn't hire me because I couldn't hire myself to represent myself, maybe I would. I would get Mike Allen because he's a former prosecutor and he knows the players, the ins and the outs, the deals, and Clyde Bennett would be my team. And I would also throw that other guy that I'm not allowed to mention anymore from the other radio station for sex appeal. But anyway, bottom line is Clyde Bennett. Why would you hire somebody from Chicago instead of Clyde Bennett to represent you in Hamilton County? Makes no sense to me whatsoever. None.
Sleeping with a 15-year-old makes sense.
I mean, I know sleeping on a 15 doesn't make any sense either. It's a very good. Dalai Lama called George W. Bush the little one, whatever the heck that means. The little one.
That only means one thing.
I don't think I would want to be titled the little one. That's why I'm glad I'm the Bulldog. And speaking of George Bush, he was supposed to go speak at St. Mark Catholic Church down in Richmond, Kentucky, and it got canceled. I don't know why he was going to speak there. Let me see. Cincinnati pays lobbying firm $833,000. Since Mayor Mallory became mayor in 2005, taxpayers have paid a D.C. firm and in return have received $86 million in appropriations and grants, according to Mallory. But in a post-earmark era, some are questioning the investment because members of Congress have little to almost zero sway over specific local project funds.
Oh, that man.
That man. By the way, I had a client named Jane Long, and that sounds just like Jane Long. Who is that, actually?
That's Wilma.
That's Wilma?
Flintstone, yeah.
Well, God, she sounds just like Jane Long. Now, we just got to do this. Well, let's take Jim from White Oak first.
Yeah, let's talk to Jim.
513-579-1160. Jim in White Oak, it's always great to hear from you. Say something witty or wise.
I wanted to ask you about jury nullification, which you mentioned in relation to the Webster thing, although it's a more general question. But I don't think anybody will remember this show on this Webster subject. It's kind of a joke. It was called Laugh Tracks. TRAX was on in the middle of the night a few decades ago on Sunday night. Howie Mandel got a start on this show. Bill Stahl was the star.
I remember Laugh Tracks.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's when he put that surgical glove over his head and blew
Yeah,
it up.
that was and then they had two female comedians. It was in the era of the Valley Girls because they would do Valley Girls, and I think they were on Second City sometime. But at any rate, this Bill Stahl, who was a kind of a tall blonde guy, was the star of the show. He would do a skit every once in a while as playing a Southern preacher. Okay, and no matter what his monologue started out with, it ended up usually with this. He would say, "I told the judge that now I know she was 17, but I could have sworn she looked like she was 21." Somehow he would get around to that as the punchline, no matter what he started out as. Now, jury nullification is a great concept when the jury thinks the law is unjust or that it shouldn't apply in this case. And if Neil Webster was thinking they were going to find that in this case, I think he had lost his mind.
Exactly.
But isn't it true that the judges often, especially in sensitive cases, the judge kind of bullies the jury and kind of steers them away from jury nullification? Shouldn't jury nullification happen more than it does, especially when there's unjust laws?
I agree 100%. And what's funny is you're not allowed as a lawyer, Jim, to tell the jury to ignore the law.
Yeah.
I mean, it cracks me up. You're not allowed to say just ignore it, which I think is wrong. I think the judge can instruct. I think a defense attorney ought to be able to say, hey, but here's how you get around it. And this is my second favorite law movie of all time after Al Pacino, Justice for All. And that is and jury nullification wasn't an issue in this case, but he did the right argument for jury nullification, which is Paul Newman in The Verdict. When he walks over in his closing argument, he goes, "You are the law today, not marble statues. You are the law today. You are justice today." And that's how you basically say you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, and I think that I agree completely. if the lawyer wants to say, look, I honestly believe, jury, this is not a just law, and you could ignore it and find to protest this law, and that's not going to work if it's a just law. That's only going to work if the jury is also thinking this is a terrible law.
Either an unjust law or an unfair person going to get convicted under that law.
Yeah, and it wouldn't work unless it were true. But there are a number of unjust laws floating.
Here, I gotta run something by you, Jim, because this bothers me a great deal.
Okay.
16 is the age of consent in Kentucky and Ohio. And what that basically means, as you know, is that means that a female or a male over the age of 16 is generally considered to be able to have the capacity to consent to have sex.
Okay.
Now get this, and this is what I don't understand. Kentucky and Ohio, oh gosh dang it, we can't stand if somebody's getting away with this if they're 17. They passed this law, Kentucky and Ohio both passed a law about the issue of a coach or teacher or quote-unquote someone in authority. If they're over 16 and has sex, then they're going to make this a felony, 1 to 5 years. Now, I got to ask you this question. If you are an employer, let's say you're a 24-year-old or a 26-year-old manager at a pizzeria, and you have a 17-year-old girl, or the reverse, you're the female manager and a male, and they have consensual sex. Do you realize there's no crime under Kentucky and Ohio law? The pizza manager who's 26 can have sex with a 17-year-old pizza driver, and there's no freaking law violation. But if you're a teacher or a coach, you're in violation of the law. Will you explain to me, Jim, the difference between a manager of an employee and a coach and a teacher?
Well, no difference. Now, of course, being a pre-Vatican II troglodyte, I have to urge everybody not to have sex unless you're married.
I understand.
But yeah, in the way.
And by the way, that's good advice.
In the way you posed it, there it seems like it should be uniform across the board there when you have a authority figure versus an underage girl, especially.
I crack up because I know you have strict morals, and I admire you for that. But one thing that drives me nuts is the criminalization of America. It's like there's so many people. Now make that a crime. Well, that's not a crime. We need to make that a crime. It's like, why do we have to make everything a crime?
You're just reminding me of Joe Soburn saying that with the IRS, every American is always a suspected criminal.
That's a good point. And you know what, Jim? That's a great point. And you know what? I can tell you right now, if the IRS stuck a microscope up your financial colon, what would they find? Are you kidding me? You mean to tell me the IRS can't find something accidentally or otherwise in everybody's tax return? Moving on with some more news. This is some local news.
So now, wait a minute. I got a quick question
Sure.
again. So
you can make a slow question.
All righty, I shall do that. A 26-year-old pizza store manager
Yes.
is allowed to give green water to a 17-year-old, but if a coach or a teacher does, they'll
correct.
get arrested.
It's correct. It's wrong.
Unfair.
It's totally unfair.
Wow.
Don't become a teacher.
Yeah, really, I'm not going to be a teacher from now on. Can't drink green water. Can't.
All I want to say about this is this, folks. All I want to say about this is this. The dog is going to take on the law. The dog is going to take on the law on this subject matter.
A phrase that will live in
infamy. The dog. Talking about changing names. Did we talk about this already yesterday? I'm going to change my name to, World Peace. Bulldog, Law Dog.
Yeah, right. Law Dog.
It'll be official.
Law Dog.
Called Bulldog, Law Dog. While commuters were heading home from work and the Reds fans were heading to the Wednesday night game against the Giants, a pair of adult geese and 4 goslings decided to amble along Interstate 71 in the Kenwood area. Motorists slowed to a crawl as they waddled out of the way. You know what? Isn't that awesome that the geese took press? People treated the geese with love and respect.
They sure did.
And nobody got hurt. The geese didn't get hurt. The people. Now, I wondered if this would happen like in the Cut of the Hill, if people would stop, or if this would happen if it occurred in, let's say, Avondale. They just run right over the geese, or is this only Kenwood because all the yuppies up in Kenwood? No offense, Kenwood. I love you all.
I don't know, but they backed up traffic for about 8 miles.
That's incredible for the geese. Was it worth it?
The goslings and 8.
I'm the most impatient. Now, I want everybody knows I support the military, but this is a funny story. 3 U.S. Marines threw Ramilda Fiera out of the moving embassy car, breaking her collarbone, 2 ribs, and puncturing a lung last November in Brazil. The Marines were pulled out of the country before police could prosecute them. They got a prostitute in the car, they just throw her out. Come on, Marines.
Get out, we gotta go.
Be gentlemen. Here, get out of their car.
See?
They threw her out of the car, TC.
Higher moral standards is what we need. We're America.
Super 5 on Real Talk 1160.
Don't forget Mike Huckabee this afternoon, 3 to 5, and coming up at 8:30 this morning, it's the Huckabee Report on Real Talk 1160. And now back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. You can email me at eric@ericdeters.com. You can text me at 859-250-2527. Follow me on Twitter. I'd love to be your Facebook friend. You also can read my columns in the Highland County Press and the Journal News. Remember, I also post my daily blog and newsletter every day on realtalk1160.com and thebulldogsnation.com. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, I am here every morning on Real Talk 1160 from 7 o'clock till 9 a.m. And we would love to have you tune in and listen on your phone, on the website, live, streaming, or just your radio as you're driving into work. And I can tell you right now, we're building something. I can tell by the feedback, the phone, the emails, the text message and everything I get, we're blowing it up. I mean, we might be a small little radio station, but I'm telling you, our fan base is growing, growing, growing. And I protect your identity. If you text something witty and wise, don't worry about me revealing you. I'll only use your first name because some of you may not want what you say attributed to you. I will protect your anonymity. That's the trust.
Except for the Godfather over there in Aurora.
Yeah, the Godfather and Tom Dinkle. Tom Dinkle does not get any protection of anonymity. Tom knows if he sends us something, it's going to be Tom Dinkle.
Yeah, because he's the biggest celebrity we know, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's the biggest celebrity that ever calls our show.
That's true.
Then I think Jim from White Oak.
Yeah.
513-579-1160. And now we usually don't do this, and we're probably going to get in trouble. I think Jamie Schloy and Rob, the program director, will probably reprimand us. But because you're not supposed to do these type of things when you're on the radio station. But TC has a female woman friend that he had lunch with yesterday that he likes. Okay, he likes.
Yeah, we get along, okay?
Get along. And she wants him to play a song dedication. And why don't you do a dedication just like when you were a rock jock, TC? I'd turn it over to you.
You know, oh man. Here we go.
Or do you want me to do it?
Here we go. Hit Radio 100. Good morning, Daddy on the radio. It's 7:05, and it's time to get down with some Blondie. This one's going out to Brandy.
Good job.
I did that a lot better when I was younger.
You know, this is a good song. I want to apologize to you. We could have made this the feel-good song. If I didn't have a Joan Jett crush going.
I understand. You got to understand something.
Is Joan Jett older than me? I mean, is my crush on her okay?
I think she's about the same age.
Ooh. Oh, I like that.
Now, we're sitting at lunch yesterday, and she says, you guys ought to play Blondie tomorrow, one way or another. And I started thinking about the words. Maybe she's trying to tell me
sending you
something,
a message.
You know, hey.
I like Deborah Harry. She looked like a female rocker, didn't she?
Yeah.
Had that look.
She was a friend of Hugh's at one time, Hugh Hefner.
Heart of Glass is a song I like.
Yeah. You know, she posed in Playboy once.
I'd never seen it. What, Playboy?
Yeah.
It's a
men's magazine.
Yes, it is.
I've heard of that.
Great articles.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
They stay up with pop culture.
Yes, they do.
I'm going to get you. One way or the other. See, I like that approach. One way or the other. I tell my wife and kids, you got to be Marines. Agile, hostile, mobile. Find a way.
Or a stalker.
A stalker.
All right, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good now. Thank you so much for letting me get that out.
All right. Brandy, that goes out to you.
Thanks for your long-distance dedication.
From TC, the ladies' man.
That's right, the ladies' man.
I love that movie. Okay, Edwards. John Edwards it is. Attorney claims that the only prestige or success Andrew Young ever had was working for Edwards as a driver, errand boy, and fundraiser. Wow. Riley Hunter. By the way, Riley Hunter gives bad name to all Rileys everywhere. And I just want everybody, my granddaughter's spelled R-Y-L-L-E. Riley is R. What, Brad? 1,634 people have tried to break into our Facebook and Twitter accounts.
A few have been successful, though. It's not really breaking
I promise I will never give out Old-time hockey is my password ever again.
It's not really breaking in when you give it to them.
Oh,
Kinda
okay.
left the door
So I
open.
actually, these are going to be legal accesses.
Legal access.
Okay. Let's talk law. And by the way, the jackwagon Jay Garrett, the interim Kentucky Bar Council, actually accused me, get this, TC, when I put out my newsletter. This is funny. He's reading my newsletter. This is funny. The Kentucky Bar Council. When I report news items in the law, he considered that advertising myself as a Kentucky lawyer. So what I'm about ready to do, according to Jay Garrett, could be violating a... Can you imagine that? Like, how is reporting news? And you know what? I don't care what Jay Garrett says because he's wrong.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Now, stop the... he said because you put news in your blog.
Law news. Any law news. Like, let's say we cover something from Kansas.
Yeah.
That's advertising that I'm a Kentucky lawyer.
Okay, so if Trish Mackey has the same story, what is that?
I don't know.
Does that make her a lawyer?
Isn't that incredible? These are the jackwagons in which I deal with.
These guys are trying everything. We gotta come up with another.
That's why I
solution.
sued. That's why I filed the lawsuit in the Kentucky Supreme Court, and I'm waiting for any day for an order to free me. Free the dog. Take the dog off the leash. Get him out of the doghouse.
Free James Brown. Free Bulldog. We need to send Luca Brazzi over there to talk to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, I am going to give you the highlights from the federal government versus Arizona immigration law, which was argued yesterday. And feel free to call in with your comments. I think we're going to make this the topic the rest of the show. 513-579-1160, 513-579-1160. The hearing ran over the scheduled hour by 20 minutes. Debate was heated over the status check provision. Bottom line is the Arizona law allows if they have reasonable articulate suspicion to ask somebody for their citizenship status. Justice Sotomayor and others sharply questioned the government's lawyer, interesting, Solicitor General Donald Verrilli, you know how good he is, Obamacare, who conceded it was acceptable for local police to check immigration status on an ad hoc basis, but said the state couldn't adopt a rule requiring such checks. The justices said they couldn't understand the legal distinction. Think about that. You're allowed to check the immigration status, but you can't have a law to do it. Justice Antoine Scalia, who was the most sympathetic to Arizona's position, asked, so are we having to enforce our laws in a manner that will please Mexico? Is that what you're saying? Verrilli said he wasn't, adding the Constitution leaves foreign relations to the federal government. Roberts, before you get into what this case is about, I'd like to clear up from the outset what it's not about. No part of your argument has to do with racial or ethnic profiling, does it? And he said that is correct. Liberal Justice Breyer, one of the court's liberals, suggested the requirement posed little problem if it didn't result in police holding people longer than they would have without an immigration check, to which Verrilli admitted takes about 70 minutes. And also, from the Wall Street Journal, merely seeking work, which federal law doesn't punish, becomes a crime under the law with a 6-month maximum sentence for illegal aliens. The state of Arizona in this case is imposing some significantly greater sanctions than Congress. Those people that are rooting for Arizona to win this were kind of happy. Now, what's interesting is Kagan recused herself because she was part of the Obama team prepping this for the court. So it's a 4-4, so it could be deadlocked amongst the Republicans and the conservatives and the liberals, except we don't know how Kennedy's going to vote, so Kennedy could go over to the other side. And let's just boil this right down to what it's all about, folks. To me, this probably is going to apply to you too. You know what? If the federal government isn't enforcing the federal law for federal immigration and illegal aliens in Arizona, what is Arizona supposed to do? I mean, is Arizona supposed to just say, well, the federal government's not good? And see, that's the attitude and the frustration when you're dealing with bureaucracy like I am dealing with the Kentucky Bar, with you are dealing with, it's incredible. I mean, so, but you want to act, you want to do something. It's so hard to say, well, that's just the way it is, so I'm going to accept it. Arizona says we're not going to accept that. We got a problem here we got to deal with. So they pass a law so they can deal with it. And then the federal government says no. How crazy is it, folks? The federal government doesn't want to enforce federal immigration law in Arizona. So when Arizona tries to do something about it, they say, no, you can't. You have to let us not do anything. I mean, TC, this is what makes me go bonkers.
Taking the rights away from the states.
Makes me go bonkers. It's like the federal government saying, you have to let us not do our job.
Right. Yeah. But they're taking away the authority that the state
Absolutely.
has.
The state has a right to protect itself.
Yeah.
We come back, more superbity on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. My son-in-law, Chad Fuller, says we ought to jack waking up Riley Hunter for giving Riley a bad name.
Yeah.
I don't like when Erics do bad things.
When good Erics go bad.
When good Erics go bad, that sounds like a show.
Yeah.
Everybody
Eric's
named
gone
Eric.
wild. How about
Eric's gone wild.
There we go.
We're going bad. TC, I am excited about all the things that are going on here at this radio station. With we got a great lineup. Me, followed by Laura Ingram, followed by the Savage Nation, followed by Huckabee, followed by Wildman and Real Sports, Rick the Brick and the gang. And I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 4 people. 4 companies that are interested in the Attorney reality show, and there's a chance we might take it straight to syndication. Seriously, and yesterday is a great example. TC, can you imagine cameras going with me? And by the way, Dennis Carter, the great American that he is, that he fought in Vietnam, won the Purple Heart and Silver Medal, and he's lost his leg in that terrible accident that I'll be representing. People think I get permission from my clients. I said, hey, can I talk about your story on the radio? He goes, of course you can. I said, well, I appreciate it because, it's an awful neat story. I mean, This guy fought for his country. He lost his butt from a tank, from his tank getting shot. And then now he's lost his leg and he wants to go work. I mean, this guy is an incredible American. And can you imagine the cameras following me over to University Hospital, Surgical Intensive Care Unit, going back to that room and getting this, interview raw. I had no idea what he was going to, it was incredible. People watching this would be like, holy cow.
Yeah, do a story on this guy.
And he has no problem at all. See, my kind of clients, there's some things that might be sensitive, but most of my clients, I've already done a test with them. I've said, hey, if I do an attorney reality show, do you mind if we talk? Now, they can always say no, you just don't use their case.
Right.
But most of my clients are, of course, they think it's kind of cool. And the other thing is you would never air anything on television that wasn't already resolved. In other words, you wouldn't give inside information to the other side until the case was over. It wouldn't make any difference. But, I'm just thinking to myself,
now for the viewer,
it would be awesome.
Yeah, the listener, you see, stories like that, like you're telling, you can't write stuff.
No, you can't make it up.
You cannot.
And TC, I'm using that as an example. That happens to me every day.
Yeah.
Every day something like that happens to me.
Everyday life.
It's just incredible. This is from the front page of the USA Today. Of course, tonight, let's all watch it, folks, starting at 8 p.m. We're going to find out everything about the draft. Andrew Luck's going to go 1. Although I tell you right now, just for, I guess it's kind of the old, you go with the safe choice and whatnot. But I tell you right now, if I was an owner of an NFL team, I'd have to take Griffin.
Man, if I was an owner, I'd be laughing all day long. Look at me. Look at me. I'd be the happiest guy. I'm going to the game Sunday. What are you guys doing?
That's why TC's team wouldn't do very well. He would just be laughing that he was an owner. Not taking his job serious.
See, I'm in the booth. Got the luxury box.
You would have a luxury box if you owned the team, TC. But I just think Griffin would be exciting for the fans. This is funny. John Gruden does these specials where he interviews the quarterbacks for ESPN or NFL Network or something. I love Gruden. And he said, I guess you would be the fastest quarterback to ever play the position in the NFL. And Griffin goes, I don't think I'd be caught in open field. Just think how mad NFL linebackers would be and NFL safeties would be that they couldn't catch Griffin. Oh, God damn, kill that guy!
And they'd put a bounty.
Oh, yeah. There's no, TC, there's no bounties in the NFL.
Oh, of course.
Hey, you know what? They may not be public bounties, but here's the linebackers and safeties. Let's say Griffin's going to go to the Redskins, so he's going to play against the Cowboys, okay? Yeah. Here is the Cowboys linebackers. This is DeMarcus Ware, Brady James and company, all of them in a locker room. Hey, I'll give you $10,000 if you knock that guy out. Don't publicize it, okay? It's just between you and me.
Right. Now here's your helmet. There's a little extra in there for you.
Yeah. Here, can I borrow your helmet? That's
you
for
go.
taking out Griffin. Speaking of Griffin, this is front page USA Today. This is what I was going to cover. This is interesting. Interracial couples on the rise. Did you know, TC, that interracial or interethnic opposite-sex married couples are up 28% from 2000? Same-sex unmarried 21%, opposite-sex unmarried 18%. 10% are now interracial couples. Hispanic white, Hispanic black, black white, 10%.
Really?
I would think that if this continues, which I think it's going to, I mean, the Hispanic population, everything's like, this will be great for race relations in the United States. Do you not agree?
Allow me to retort.
I mean, once we're all married to each other, nobody will give a dang, right?
Then we're all going to get divorced from each other.
That's a good point. I should have never married that white woman. I should have never married that black guy. I knew that Hispanic wasn't going to be good for me.
I should not have married that person who is of a different faith than I am. You can never trust those people.
I understand that interreligious, that used to always be, you got to find a good Jewish boy. You got to find a good Catholic girl. That's kind of gone by the wayside either. Interreligion marrying, and we're going to be a big old melting pot, TC.
Yeah, I guess one big happy. You know what though? That I kind of have to define the line. I draw the lines right there. Spirituality, religion. I mean, you got to be on this. Chris Rock.
So you think religion is more important than race?
Yes, definitely.
Really?
Chris Rock does a great bit. He says, you can't have a wife who goes to church and you're a crackhead. Where are you going? To pray? Where are you going? To smoke? You just can't do it.
Growing up out in Independence, I noticed in St. Cecilia, there were a lot of moms that took their kids to church without the dads. More than the other way around. It's kind of like dad was, I don't know, maybe dad worked on weekends.
Could be.
Or it might be said that, I've worked all week, I'm going to stay here and sleep in my lazy boy and watch football. You go to church.
The one day that I'm allowed to do this.
That sounds familiar.
I don't know.
You know what, I have to admit, Saturday and Sunday mornings are special to me.
Yeah.
I mean, because those are the 2 days that I sleep in till 7:30.
That is sleeping in.
I know, it is sleeping. When you get up as early as we do, man, 7:30. You know what, on weekends now, TC?
Yeah.
It's all relative because I'm used to getting up and coming here early since I started doing the morning show. It's nothing anymore. I mean, in other words, it's kind of like getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning after sleeping an hour is like no big deal. It's like, it's my life. But it's weird. I can't sleep in past 7 or 7:30 on.
Yeah.
My wife looks at me like 6:30. I get up out of bed. I've already slept past an hour past I usually do.
Right.
It's weird. But then there's also those naps. Oh, I love those naps.
Oh, man.
I take naps every day.
Do you? I try
Every
to.
day.
I'm jealous. I'd love to be able to take a
I'll
nap
walk
every
out
day.
like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll yell out to the girls, I'm taking a nap. Okay.
So what else is
And
there?
I just don't take 20 minutes. I take like hour naps.
I love sleep. I mean, I got to
I
rest.
do too, TC. I love sleep.
I've got to rest all day to get a good night's sleep.
And I don't get enough of it, but I love it.
Yeah.
Sleeping is good.
It is. The only thing about sleeping is
It's restorative.
you miss life when you're sleeping, though. And that's
I
probably why
know.
you and I don't sleep much.
You hit the nail on the head. When I go to bed early, I think, oh my God, I'm missing what happened in the late news.
Right.
I mean, I do. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be going to because when everybody else is sleeping, I'm watching. I'm like the watchdog. I'm checking out what's going on in the world. While everybody else is sleeping, man, I'm paying attention.
Exactly.
And I can tell you right now, different than back in the day. Isn't it amazing, TC? I mean, I've just found this out because people count on me to know what's going on in the world, my newsletter, my blog, the radio show. Isn't it amazing? This is amazing to me. To stay up on the news is a 24/7 job.
It is.
I mean, it isn't like everybody sat around and wait for the 6 o'clock news and 11 o'clock news back when we were kids to find out what happened in the world.
Yeah.
Now, it is breaking all day long. I mean, and when it happens, it's being reported.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Right
if
there.
you got, and that's why I keep my cable news and my radio on all day long. I do.
so
I
C-SPAN
simultaneously have the TV
Yeah.
with the sound down and Real Talk 1160 on all day
Yeah.
with the sound up.
It's amazing, too, because if you think about it, and I tell my students this, news is the only reality show out there. I mean, this is the stuff that's really happening. There's no script in the news.
And just like attorney reality show, which there isn't one on. Do you believe there's not a attorney reality show?
Yeah.
Just like I couldn't write a script. Going to see a guy that Dennis Carter, and his wife was wonderful, and his daughter and son were wonderful Americans. Just great. In fact, I told him, I said, man, it's an honor to represent you. You couldn't make up the story. He lost his leg, and then you find out he lost his butt as a tank driver in Vietnam.
Wow.
I mean, you can't, you know, if you sit there and say, okay, let's write up some kind of story for a real attorney show like L.A. Law.
Yeah.
Who needs a freaking script?
And you know one other thing about this guy, if there's anybody who deserves to have an attitude, that guy.
Oh.
You know, I mean, seriously, all that this guy's been through and you know, coming back.
Here I said, well, I guess you're not going to drive a truck anymore, but you could be a dispatcher. He goes, oh, no, I'm going to be driving a truck. We come back, we're going to wrap up this great show of radio superbity, which we deliver every day, 7 to 9, on Real Talk 1160.
Make sure you spend your lunch hour with Michael Savage. He's on from noon to 3 today on Real Talk 1160. And now, back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. There's a story by Cliff Peel on the Inquirer this morning, folks. Hospitals have more available jobs. Go into healthcare field, folks. Americans are getting older. The whole system is messed up.
People never stop getting sick.
You know what? For some reason, people need to eat, and people get sick. So, I mean, I'm trying to find the Bengals I'd pick here. By the way, my Cowboys are expected to take safety Mark Barron from Alabama. The Bengals get 17 from the Raiders for old Carson Palmer. They expect, according to USA, defensive and outside linebacker Melvin Ingram from South Carolina. And then also on 21, cornerback Dre Kirkpatrick from Alabama. You know, if you're going to draft somebody, you might as well draft somebody from a team that won it all, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Alabama, the national champions.
That's where the stars are.
Absolutely. The stars are all there. I've got to share this story because this is in the Inquirer today, and it comes from the Courier-Journal, actually. Andrew Wolfson, but the Inquirer redid it. There's a new book out, TC, from Karen Siffer. We called her Siphon. Karen Siffer, guilty until proven innocent, which unfortunately sometimes is true, but I don't think it is in her case. She is the Rick Pitino girl that went to jail. And it is amazing to me. Listen to this. It's this book, and it's got her on the cover holding her daughter. Illustrated with bikini-clad photos from her modeling career, a book written by convicted extortionist Karen Siffer says the government protected University of Louisville coach Rick Pitino by falsely portraying her as the biggest prostitute in Louisville. That's not, they didn't say. You know, the bottom line is, folks, this woman tried to extort money, clear as day, from Rick Pitino. I mean, she was nothing. I mean, by the way, I've analyzed it. I've read everything. I'm not just going off half-cocked on this. It is overwhelmingly the evidence and the proof that she had sex with him one time and then tried to take advantage of it by extorting money from him.
Right.
And I have to admit, and you can call Rick Pitino a slime ball for cheating on his wife, but I'll tell you right now, I feel sorry for the guy.
Most expensive 5 minutes of his life.
I mean, you know, and she wanted like a college education for my kids for the rest of their life, $1 million here, $1 million there. I mean, I like this from Rick Pitino's lawyer, Steve Pence. Miss Cipher is a convicted felon repeating the same lies that a federal jury unanimously rejected. And that is true, folks. This is, I mean, a federal, she got her day in court.
Yeah.
And a federal jury found her guilty.
Well, she was.
And I feel, you know, Pitino, I think, has finally rebounded from this. You know, getting his team to the Final Four. Right. He looks better. I don't know if he saved his marriage or not, but he just seems better. And I don't know, but I think Pitino has slowly regained himself. I mean, this will always be a stain on his life, but can you imagine him having to, oh, here she comes out. Who's going to buy this book? Right. And by the way, it comes out, and I know a little bit about book publishing. You don't make a lot of money selling books, folks. Is this? It's Smashwords. Who ever heard of Smashwords?
Smashwords? So she's going to write a book about her affair?
She already wrote it.
Okay, wait a minute. The book's got to be longer than the actual thing.
That's a good point.
It was 5
Only
minutes.
226 pages.
I can believe she has that many.
Another thing is, too, when somebody starts going through lawyers, like her lawyer handled the case, he's gotten attacked that it was his fault that she lost.
Yeah.
I tell you right now, there is nothing more aggravating than a client that tries to blame you for their woes.
It's your fault.
It's your fault.
Yeah, you're supposed to make me win.
I didn't commit that burglary. It's your fault that I did if I did. And I'm not going to take the deal you recommend. And if I do take the deal, it's your fault.
It's not my
and
fault.
if I don't take the deal and I'm convicted, it's your fault.
It's not my fault I committed the crime. It's your fault because you didn't get me off.
TC, what's the world coming to?
I know where it's going.
It's not going very well.
Hell in a handbasket.
Except Dennis Carter gives us hope, doesn't he? You know, the problem is there's not very many Dennis Carters out there anymore. I mean, there's just too many. There's too much sloth. We have forgotten the 7 deadly sins. Greed, sloth. I love that word. Sloth.
Shit, the sloth here.
But we are going to hell in a handbasket.
The Goonies. Sloth.
How many people now, Brad, have checked out old-time hockey as my password? Is it over 2,000 now that if people have tried to access it?
We're peaking. We're almost to 3,000.
Almost 3,000?
You're in trouble.
You know what?
See how many
Sit
problems
down.
this is causing, by the way?
Well, you know what? What can they get? What can they get? Really? You think about it. Are they posting some stupid stuff?
That's where we keep all of our
Are they
stuff.
accusing me of being with that Cipher woman that was with Patino? That's not true. I've never even met her.
Did you mention where the gold is?
I wonder if she put me in Greene County. Oh, but we don't have the... Oh, my God, we've got the address of that.
Don't put that... Oh, too late.
That'd be a good reason to access. Man, you ought to check this. You ought to check this barn out, TC. Filled with gold. It's a sight of beauty.
Describe it to me. You know, like the numbers on the barn, the street that it might be on, surrounding.
TC, you don't want to commit a crime, do you?
It wouldn't be committing a crime if you opened the door and just let me walk in.
Yeah. Well, TC, the Bengals need to draft well. And they have been lately. Lately, they have been doing very well. Let me see, their last 2 drafts, they've got a lot of starters from those drafts.
You know,
And Andy Dalton, you give Andy Dalton a running game, running game,
Green water game.
and we get who's that slot receiver that is coming back?
Jordan
from
Shipley.
Texas?
Shipley.
Yeah, Jordan Shipley.
Yeah.
And you give him some, an offensive line that stays strong. That Dalton proved himself.
you know, the Bengals could be tough, but they've got a tough... Remember you read off the schedule last week?
Yeah, they got to play the Ravens twice,
Yeah.
Steelers twice, and guess
Oh,
what? They
man.
play the NFC East.
They're not...
Redskins, Cowboys, Eagles, and the Giants.
I'll make a prediction.
What?
Not a winning season for the Bengals.
Oh.
Goodbye, Marvin.
Goodbye, Marvin. You know, Marvin has got like the longest tenure now as a head coach, isn't he? Mike Brown likes Marvin, and Marvin likes Mike. How about that press conference they had where they wouldn't announce how much money and how long it was extended? They have a press conference to announce that they've signed it, but we're not going to tell you anything about it.
Wouldn't you have loved to have been at that meeting when those two were talking about this and that, and we're going to do it this way and all that kind of... Oh, man, that would have been great.
TC, this just coming in from Fox News.
Uh-oh.
Simon Kroll. There's a new bio that reveals
Simon Cowell?
Cow. Tells you how much I'm on Teen Idol. Rivalry, affair, and Botox. Does Simon do Botox?
Oh, no. Not Botox.
This-
Anything else.
Let's see if we can get Dr. Kurtzman to violate the patient-client privilege and reveal if Simon Cowell is a patient of his.
Yeah. I don't know. He might not tell us.
Are you a patient of his?
No, look at me. Do I look like a
No, you're-
patient? I don't look good.
You're wrinkled. I'm wrinkled and scarred.
Look at this nose. This
You know, I have
is
2 scars on I got one on my side of my face where they took a cancer off, which kind of makes me look tough.
Yeah.
And then I got one on the back of my head. Have I ever told you this scar on my back of the head, how it happened?
Is that when your dad hit you with the shovel?
No, true story. I'm studying. I'm 19 years old. I'm studying for my property exam at Chase Law School. And I come out, and on the front porch is my brother Jed and Robbie Coppage. And I'm sitting there telling them a story. I'm telling the story of what just happened to John Tobin,
Well,
who was in a terrible boating accident, and he almost died, okay? So I'm telling them this terrible story about what happened to John Tobin. He got caught in a motor,
Yeah.
okay? I got so, upset about telling the story. I mean, it affected me. I fainted. I'm telling the story, TC, to them, and I faint. And I fell backwards, hit my head on the side of the bricks, sidewalk. I did some kind of convulsion with my arms, and my legs stiffened up like I had some kind of seizure. And then I relaxed again, and my brother Jed and Robbie were laughing at me. They thought I just did some kind of karate move or something. That was the highlight. That was like when I was into karate. They were laughing at me. They were laughing at me like, what's wrong with you? I wake up from passing out. Again, a story I told, I passed out. And my mom and dad put me in the back of the station wagon and rushed me to the hospital. I had to have 13 stitches in the back of my head. I could have been killed telling a story.
You did it up right.
So anyway, I got 2 scars on my head and face to make me look tough. And that's how I got the Bulldog. Man, he's got 2 scars. Let's call him the Bulldog. Isn't that funny? I told the story, and I passed out. And my brother and Robbie were laughing at me.
That is pretty funny. I see them sitting there laughing at you.
They thought I was doing some kind of like, here, watch me fall backwards and hit a brick and break it.
Remind me someday to tell you the story of when Jeff Christoff hit his head on the light pole.
I'd like to hear that story.
That's a great story.
Every dog has their day. I hope today and tomorrow is yours. We will be back tomorrow with some more Radio Suburbanity to everybody in the American jury and Bulldog Nation. I love you, man! On Real Talk 1160.